Welcome back to MFO, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
I'm Megan Fuller.
Guys, we wanted to do an episode. We're kind of slipping this one in today. We had an episode planned, but we were watching yesterday the Get Your Fish On YouTube channel. He does a very nice job kind of keeping people informed on the goings on within tournament organizations. Yesterday there was a video that was about the Major League Fishing BPT and who made it and who didn't make it,
Right.
who qualified and didn't qualify. Well, we've got some inside information. There were a lot of things that Steve was kind of didn't quite know about. I thought that we could kind of come in and jump in and fill in the gaps. Right, fill in the gaps a little bit. So guys, stick around. We're going to fill in the gaps on who made it, who didn't make it in the BPT, and why. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, the like button. Send us your comments about what you think. This is kind of funky. I mean, some of this stuff is kind of funky. As we know, they said that we're going to lower the field from 80 to 65. That was the way they're doing it.
Okay.
Lowering the field from 80 to 65 this year, then 65 to 50 next year to get down to that field size of 50. But at one point it was 80 to 65, and now all of a sudden they're saying 66. Why is it 66 and not 65? And the reason for that is to get to that 66, 46 of them are the anglers that have been there over a number of years, and they're using their Angler of the Year averages. Okay. Remember, there were rookies and people who haven't been there long enough that they were taking 15 spots. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if you had your original 45 plus 15,
right,
that got you to 60. And then the 5 guys that qualified from the invitationals make your field of 65. But why is it 65 or why is it 66, not 65? And the answer is Bobby Lane came back in, and the deal that MLF made with Bobby Lane was, yep, we'll let you come in, and we will put you in the category of the people with long-standing Angler of the Year. But since we're doing that for you, and we didn't tell the rest of the field that that was going to happen because it came in the middle, we're not going to penalize the rest of the field who's trying to make that. So we're going to take one extra. You're not going to count against the guys, right? You're not going to count against the guys that we told the rules to. So they went from taking 45 to 46. Bobby Lane being one of those. Okay. That's where that extra one came in. And you're right. Nobody knew about that. Nobody on the outside knew about that. Okay. So that's where that extra one person comes from. That, like I said, 46, or if you want to say 66, instead of the 65. So you've got the first 46 guys that are relying on their accumulative Angler of the Year standings to get in. And then they're taking the top 15 guys that didn't have that. Right. Okay. Whether it's because they were rookies, because they haven't been on tour long enough, and so on and so on. But the way Major League Fishing announced it in the beginning of the year and set up the rules, and again, I can't fault them, they set up the rules. I don't necessarily agree with the way they set it up, but if they set it up that you had to stand on your head, that's their rules. They can do it. Those 15 people are the next 15 in. And then the rule states that then we go back to taking anybody else in the overall Angler of the Year cumulative standings. So Matt ended up being one. I'm just using him as an example.
Right.
He ended up being the 16th man on that
Oh.
15 list. But because he was so close, that doesn't matter. If one of those guys chooses not to fish next year, he doesn't, at least the way the rules state, he doesn't get to bump up. He now is in that entire list of the cumulative Angler of the Year standings, and so he is literally 13th on the list. In other words, 12 people have to not fish next year in order for him to get bumped up. And that's just using Matt as an example. So the people who are out, this is an accurate list of the people who currently, right now, without anybody, retiring or something
Right.
like that. Fred Rubanus is the first man out. This is in order, guys. Fred Rubanus would be the first man out. Ryan Salzman next. Britt Myers. Scott Suggs. I'm going in order. Brandon Coulter. Matt Lee. Gary Klein. David Walker. John Murray. Cliff Crochet. Kelly Jordan. Boyd Duckett. Matt Steffen. Jason Vance. Gray Buck. Jacopo Galeli. Colby Schrump. And then Josh Weaver. In that order. The first person that I listed, Fred Rubanus, he's the first guy in if somebody retires, doesn't come back, and so on.
Okay.
That order that I listed those names is their order of being able to get in if somebody doesn't go out. But like I said, just because in that list you saw where I read, and again, I'm just using Matt as an example, you saw I listed Matt way down, even though he was the first one out of the group of 15, but because they don't work on that, basically they got different buckets. They got the cumulative Angler of the Year, and then the guys who didn't have that, they're in a separate bucket. But that bucket only took 15, and once that bucket was filled, there's no rolling into that bucket. Now you get put into the first original bucket, and you got kind of put down. I don't know if that makes sense, but what it does show, and again, Major League Fishing has a right to set up the rules any way they want. They were upfront about what the rules were in the beginning of the season, and they're adhering to, as long as they adhere to them. It's their prerogative to do that, and their rules were pretty much this is an outsider looking in at it, was to say, hey, we're going to give these rookies and these people with not a lot of cumulative Angler of the Year, we're going to give them a chance, and we got 15 spots, but once that happens, we are going to put a priority on the people who have been here longer. Right. And if somebody doesn't make it, at least they're the first people to roll back in come, if somebody retires, somebody chooses not to fish, and so on. So those are the clarifications that we have based on some information that we've got. And like I said, it's their rules. It's their ball. They get to set up the rules the way they want, and I don't see anything unfair about it as long as they adhere to these, throughout. Guys, we'd love to get your opinion on it, and again, just when I saw that Get Your Fish On video yesterday, I saw it, I'm like, wow, that's good information, but like you said, there were a few holes. So we wanted to kind of fill in some of that. Hope we did that for you, and we will see you tomorrow with a really, really cool on the water trip that we did with some veterans over the weekend. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody.
Stay channeled.